Please read us a story, old bear.
Beerman.
We'll all gather round. Dear old bear,
Beerman.
sit in your favourite chair. We'll sit all around dear old bear.
Beerman.
Please read us a story, old bear.
Beerman.
We'll all gather round. Dear old bear,
Beerman.
sit in your favourite chair. We'll sit all around dear old bear.
Beerman. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Well, not that far away, but it worked for Star Wars. Our story is set in a distant land, somewhere dry, a little bit like Katie Hopkins' cunt. Dry and barren, like a desert. Not really the kind of place you will want to go. The most horrible, horrendous place you can imagine. Well, maybe not as bad as Katie Hopkins' cunt, but you do get the picture. Well, anyways, there was this fella. Now, his name was Joseph. He was a carpenter. Now, this is a bit like a bricky, but he uses a saw instead of a trowel, and wood instead of bricks. Painting pictures here. Painting pictures. He was just salt of the earth building site worker. The kind of guy that reads the sun and grunts while he works. The kind of guy who can fart the national anthem. I can tell you, I met loads of carpenters when I was plastering. They were pretty shit at putting stubwork up. But anyways, I do digress. It seems not much has changed in 2,000 years. There are always these greedy government types who want to take every last penny from your hard-working chippy in taxes. And poor old Joseph, who for legal reasons shall from this point on be called Joe, because Joe is a proper chippy's name, he was no exception. Unlike Starbucks and Amazon and shit like that, they pay your taxes, you corporate twats. So anyway, here we are, in about a year 2 billion, because the years haven't changed yet. And poor old Joe, he gets the olden days equivalent of the HMRC final demand letter or tablet or whatever on his shack doorstep. I'll tell you one thing, I bet those cunts they're still demanding money in another 2,000 or even 2 billion years. The problem is, for our mate Joe, 9 months earlier, him and his Mrs. Mary, they'd been having a few relationship problems. Turned out, she's been having a little bit of a go in someone else's toolbox when he was out on site. They even went on the Jeremiah Kyle show and everything. It was in all the paparazzi's. Mary, at that time you have been with Joe. Did you have immaculate sex of any time? She said no, and that was a lie, Mary. You have been slapping it all around the village, Mary. But anyway, Joe, he actually forgave her. The thought of a few tax credits, a bit of the old child benefit, why the fuck not? That other guy couldn't be anything special, could he? He ain't shown his face in years, since a bit of "How's your father, who art in heaven?" So there he was, shafted by the taxman, his bird ready to drop, and King Herod ready to repossess his ass. Now his ass, that wasn't his arse back then, by the way. This was like the old school van, a bit like the Charters three-wheeler, but a little bit more economical. Incidentally, it's from this story that the saying, "get your ass into gear," first came about. It has lost a little over time. It was originally used as Get your ass to Mars. As Mars was a slang term for Bethlehem or something like that back then. And Bethlehem, aka Mars, that's where our hero Joe had to go and pay the fucking taxman. In fact, it was high taxation around that time that spawned our oldest trade, prostitution, as many young women like Mary had to sell their ass to pay their taxes. Luckily, Mary had Joe and Joe had his ass, so they set out on the journey to Mars. Now the journey, it was long and arduous. It didn't help that Mary, being up the old spiritual duff, so to speak, had to stop for a wee every mile or so. Do you know how many fucking bushes there are in the deserted wasteland of Katie Hopkins' cunt? Not fucking many. Oddly, this led to another saying, just get off your ass and do it. Nike shortened that one, the thieving cunts, but I bet they didn't pay their taxes either. Anyway, eventually they made it. Mars Bethlehem was on the horizon, and it was at this point Joe facepalmed. He turned to Mary and he said, guess which fuckleberry forgot to book a travel lodge? Now, I'm going to interject here. I do feel his pain. I was once stranded on the Isle of Anglesey with nowhere to kip. And like that night in Anglesey, Joe was faced with no room at the inn. If my experience was anything to go by, yeah, he was probably sworn at in Welsh more than a few times. And any bar that he walked into was akin to a scene out of an American Werewolf in London. Or maybe, you know, a jolly day out to Royston Vasey. But like any good Welsh island, on Mars there were fucking barns and sheep aplenty. Cows too. Have I ever actually mentioned I fucking hate cows? Sheep, fucking cows, and barns everywhere. So Joe and Mary decided to bunk up with the animals. I mean, Joe, he thought, fuck it, she's slept around plenty before. What's a few sheep? There may even be a DVD from this. He could flog that to the guys on the site. Suddenly, there was an almighty splosh. Mary's waters have broke, and they have fucking broke everywhere. The sheep were doing fucking breaststrokes. No wonder this little bastard popping out was later to turn water into wine. He'd been swimming in that shit for 9 months. Personally, I'm like the Antichrist. I can turn wine into water, especially after the 3rd bottle. By then, I'm looking for Mary's desert bush every 2 glasses, I've got to be honest. But anyway, out popped the ugliest, wrinkliest, grumpiest little brat you have ever seen. And Mary, she shit herself. Apparently that can happen and is even the norm, just in case any of you mothers out there may be mistaken into thinking you're a bit special, popping out the odd brown nugget in childbirth. Also, it's going to be mentioned, the little fucker's head was huge, but we won't go into that carnage, the carnage that caused in a barn on Mars. Needless to say, Mary, she was quite vocal about the delivery, and for miles around, people heard of a new life being brought into the world. One who heard the lamb-like screams was a shepherd high on a mountain, who was rightly concerned for his flock. Remember, those little fuckers were drowning in amniotic fluid, and he knew he had to alert the other shepherds and get to Bethlehem, or in olden speak, get his ass to Mars, to rescue his poor sheepies. Not having a beacon to shine a light across the land, he pulled his still erect member out of the wench he was sodomizing and promptly struck a match and set fire to her pubic hair. Back in the year 2 billion, Harry was horny. Trust me, it was like the 70s but worse. And he knew this flaming bush would serve as an alarm to his sheep-keeping brethren that there were foul deeds afoot. In foul deeds, we will say no ducks were hurt during this story, just the drowning sheep. So leaving his ignited whore, he rushed to the barn. Wait, hang on, shouldn't this be a stable? Well, it's a fucking barn. It's a barn. Easy as that. And all across the land, shepherds saw this fiery warning, and they followed in his tracks. And the signal was seen far and wide, including, it's got to be said, these three fellas who just happened to be stumbling out of the pub. Now, I'm going to straighten things out once and for all at this point. These three gentlemen are sometimes called kings. This is a misconception. They actually came out of the King's Head public house, which is up the road. And they've also been called wise. Now, following this recently transcribed conversation, that is also debatable. For upon leaving the boozer, they looked up and they saw a glow in the sky, to which the first declared, "It is a comet. It heralds the end of the world. I shall take this gift of gold and follow it, for it shines like a precious metal." The second declared it was an angel. The angel was another pub down the road. "The angel is calling us. I shall take this gift of frankincense and follow it, for any angel will want to smell heavenly." Whereas the third declared, "Don't worry, lads, all right, it's just a twatolite. I shall take this gift of myrrh and follow it, for all twats love a bit of myrrh." So off they staggered down the high street amongst the usual sea of vomit and kebabs and northern lassies in very short skirts towards the stable. Barn. Towards the barn, I mean the fucking barn. And the rest, my friends, is history. And so we do have the true meaning of Christmas, the story of a dysfunctional couple, taxed to fuck, stalked by shepherds and drunkards, under the shining light of a fanny on fire. And it is from this heartwarming tale each December we gather together, we drink till we spew, and we spend way more than we can afford in the name of a baby in a barn. And on that, the story, the true story of Christmas, I wish you a very happy cunty fuck.
Please read us a story, old bear.
Beerman.
We'll all gather round. Dear old bear.
Beerman.
Sit in your favourite chair. We'll sit all around. All around, dear old bear.
Beerman.
Please read us a story, old bear.
Beerman.
We'll all gather round. Dear old bear.
Beerman.
Sit in your favourite chair. We'll sit all around. All around, dear old bear.
Beerman.